Our Minister of Education, Higher Education and Research asked me to write a report that was entitled Towards the Learning Society. Okay? And so we were trying to argue for the fact that we've all learned how to learn as individuals, but rarely as collectives. Okay? And the idea is that if we want to really promote new ways of learning, which we need to in the age of AI, robots, and so much change in our society, we have to change the way we learn. And we are already doing it, but we are not necessarily optimizing the way we are learning differently. And so can we investigate that question, and can we do it not only as individuals, which we all do, but also collectively, and can we build a sort of collective intelligence around this, a sort of a citizen science of learning? Education system, because we are not investing enough in the R&D of education and of learning, because we are not training enough our teachers through research, because we are not offering policymakers with the best advance of research, it makes it much more difficult for the education system to progress. And not only do we need it to progress in absolute, we need it to progress even more because of the international competition, and even more so because of the progress of machines and the needs of the employment sector that are becoming very different than what they used to be. If we are just training them for the past, we are not making them a favor. So we have to invest collectively in changing our system, and that passes through research. That's the only way we know that, even if planes progress, is because we make research on planes. If you want education to progress, you have to make research on education. So I think the initial education of teachers starts before the school of education. Okay? The initial training of teachers starts when they're young ones, starts when they are students. If they can be reflective about what is to learn, and then what it is to share their learning with others. Then when they become teacher, there are some countries where teaching is defined as facilitating learning. So first you learn about learning, and then you learn about teaching as facilitating the learning opportunities that you give to the younger ones. So that's for the initial training. And once you've entered the job, you realize that all the theory you learned in the university is somewhat different from the real complex situation that you're facing, because you're suddenly in an environment that you have never imagined, and maybe you've never been there because you come from a different social background, maybe because you were a good student, you enjoyed learning, and you're suddenly faced with kids that don't like to learn. So being able to put yourself in the shoes of the learners, being able to face a situation that is very different takes time. It takes 5 to 10 years of ongoing development to progressively manage to help as well as possible the younger ones. What's the most important is that you're aware that you can use some of those research methods in your classroom. You can yourself try to not only be reflective as a teacher, but you can start experimenting, and you can start documenting your experiments, you can start sharing your results. One of the strengths of Europe is that it's ever easier for us to travel across Europe and to discover other ways of doing what you thought was possible to do only in one way. Okay? And that, I think, is great help. And I think that this ability is being offered to students with Erasmus for long now, but I think we have to offer it as professional development throughout the career of any educator. And that's the best way to educate them, and therefore to help them educate better the younger ones.